Hello and welcome to Gauntlet Hangouts. My name is Lowell, and we are playing tonight 2 sessions of a little hack that I put together, powered by the Apocalypse, that steals from a lot of places, including my own Hearts of Wulin, to do some hopefully investigative, relationship, all of that kind of thing, to do kind of a teen horror mystery game. I'll talk about what that means in a second. But before I go much further, I want to mention that this is part of the Gauntlet Hangouts. You may know if you watch AP videos that Hangouts on Air is going away at the end of this month, and it will be gone. And I suspect we'll keep the name Gauntlet Hangouts. Hangouts will not be a part of what we're doing, but just to tell you that that's the thing. But if you're interested in these online games, we are part of the Gauntlet Network, which includes a variety of podcasts. It includes a Patreon-supported magazine that comes out each month. It includes all of this online gaming and a gaming calendar, and a lot of other things, including an online convention coming up in October. You can find out more about that at gauntlet-rpg.com. If you dig this, check out the rest of my channel, where I've recorded a ton of other games. So there's a lot of different things that you might be interested in. So let me give you a little sense, my 4 players here, of what this is like, using the sort of the CATS approach to kind of walk through the stages of this. This is a Stranger Things style game. We have teens who get involved with mysterious happenings. The default assumption is all 4 of you are friends. And the particular background I'm using is New Mexico 2002, though the specifics of that is less important. Just to give you a sense, though, that we're in, the 20th century. It's not 80s or 90s nostalgia based. Our goal here is going to be playing out the tropes. I'll be laying out some situations. We'll be examining those. We'll be trying to look at both daily life for our characters and the weirdness that is going on around them. We're hopefully going to develop and unpack a horror mystery that is going on in this environment. This is still a teen drama, as well as having these supernatural horror elements. I would say Stranger Things is on brand. If you've watched Castle Rock, that's super slow, but I enjoy it, but that's also on brand. What would not be on brand, would be too far in the horror direction, would be American Horror Story, or It is sort of, that's not as far as I'm ready to go, or I enjoy running for in terms of the level of gore and things like that. But we'll talk about our limits in a moment. What we're going to be playing out is our teenagers' lives. I'm stealing a page from Tales from the Loop, in that we're going to do home scenes for our characters, and then situations of strangeness, and kind of try to move back and forth between those. There's a question of horror of this weird place versus the mundanity of everyday life. And within that, because of course this is a horror game, we are using standard safety tools. My default is the X card. It's not the best safety tool that's out there, but it is one that's easy to use. That's why I fall back to it. I take it everyone is familiar with the X card, how that functions, at least a little bit. Okay. For our purposes, this, or in the chat, or even on the roll for your party page, there's an X card function. Again, if you do that, and there's material that you find objectionable, problematic, hits on a phobia, as I've had happen, or you feel is wildly off tone, any of those things are legitimate reasons to X card material, and we'll excise that. I may ask you for a sense of exactly where we need to cut, but we will go past that. If we're hitting on topics of material that you're not comfortable with, feel free to do that. And then the last thing I'll say about that X card, as Rich Rogers told me, he said it's important that people know that even if the first couple times something has popped up, you're like, okay, I'm okay with it. If later on you start not being okay with it, it is legit to X card that. Don't ever feel like I should have said something the first time. Say it later, and no one will have a problem with that. Within that, I'd like to talk about our lines and veils. These are things that are going to be either completely off the table or things that we're going to draw a curtain on when they occur. And I typically start out myself. I'll say there are two things that are off the table for me completely in this context, and I'm going to go around and ask all of you. One is any kind of sexual violence is off the table as material for our play, and also the use of torture to extract information or to get something is off the table. It doesn't work in real life, and it's not material that we're going to be playing with. So those are two things to keep in mind there. Thank you for running across the keyboard, Kat. So with that in mind, Puckett, can I ask you if you have anything besides that you'd like to mention as a line or a veil?
Violence toward animals.
Violence towards animals, okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay.
I think that covers it.
Fair enough. Robert, what about for you?
No, I'm good with those ones.
Okay. Leandro?
The usual one I go to is violence against children, but I guess in this context it would be violence against prepubescent children.
Okay.
Or
preteens.
Preteens, yeah.
Okay. And Julie, anything you want to add?
Nope, that's good.
Okay. And again, if we do hit anything that people are not entirely happy with, we can work around that. So we're going to go character creation. This is a PbtA game. It uses material from the Veil and from other games in that our stats are emotions. And what that means is it's a little bit like approaches if you've played Fate Accelerated. When you go to take a move, when you go to do something, to take an action, you'll say which emotion you think is essentially the one that you're acting with or the one that you're acting against. That you can kind of look at it either way. And then you will roll with that stat value. So if you think that fear is at that moment governing, you're afraid of what's going to happen, then you would roll with fear. If you feel like you're excited to be doing something, maybe joy is generating that. And there are different terms that those fall into. There's a feeling wheel. You'll find that on one of the tabs there. Your 6 emotional states there are also your harm track. Your harm is going to be taken by marking your emotions. And essentially, when you have an emotion marked, it means that you can no longer roll with that emotion. It means that you can't control it, you can't focus it, there's too much of it or too little of it, and it creates a problem. You can always opt to, rather than marking one of your emotions, to mark injured. Injured means an actual physical injury that you have to get medical treatment for. If you mark that as your option instead, then you have a -1 ongoing until you can get medical treatment. Now, part of the thing is that this game would be the first half of a pair of games, that we would play the games out here with us as teens, and then we would move forward to us as adults. We're just trying out the teen part today to kind of get a sense of it. Essentially, if you get too many emotional states marked, then you will take what's called a trauma, which will allow you to clear some of those marks, but it means that there is an issue that you're creating for your character down the road, something that they're going to have to deal with in the future or in their adult life that is going to seriously harm them. So that's the basics about the sort of system. Julie, you've played PbtA?
I actually don't think so. I think this
Okay.
will be my first game for that.
Oh, absolutely. So let me tell you what's going to be important about this is on the tabs there, we've got a thing called basic moves. And that is the tab that says these are sort of the actions that you can do. And you'll narrate what you're attempting to do. And then I'll say, well, that sounds like, you're doing this thing or that thing, and we'll put it into the mechanics of it. And basically, when you do that, we'll look at that move. You'll roll 2d6, and you'll add the stat. A 10 plus means generally across the board absolute success. A 7 to 9 is a mixed success, meaning you may not get all you want, or there may be a cost. And then a 6 or less is a miss. And for the purposes of PbtA, for these games, when you miss, that's the time that I get to make things much worse for you. So I never roll. I just feed on your bad rolls. So keep that in mind. The good thing about missing in this game is that every time you miss, you get to mark XP. 5 XP will get you an advance, which in this case is just going to be a stat raise or clearing things. So that's the basics of it. We've got some survival moves. We've got a fight move. We've got a study move, which is our investigation move. But we'll talk about all that when those come around. So I see that everybody's kind of picked out. Looks you picked out your role and identity. And from that, you can see that those give you a role move and identity move. You can just cut and paste those over. And then you can write in what the questions are for each of those and put that in the spot there. And then once everybody's had a chance to introduce their characters, we'll go and we'll look at those questions. And then we'll look at your entanglement and your problem. But I want to point you at those just a little bit before I move forward on that. Everybody's going to have one entanglement. And I've got a list there on the problems entanglement chart. Essentially, an entanglement is a triangle. It's your interaction with another NPC, and a third person messes that up. In this case, you need to have one NPC and one PC in that triangle. So I've got a list of 20 possible entanglements that you can come up with. And you'll get to name an NPC, create an NPC, and then put a PC into that relationship. Of course, when you do that, you're going to check in with the other player to make sure that they are cool with that. We always do check-ins whenever something might hit another player's autonomy. And then you'll also choose one problem. And I've got a list of 20-some problems there for you to also pick. I want to give you about 5 minutes to take a look at those. And then I will come around and I'll have everybody introduce their characters. Tell us who they are. I'll ask some leading questions about that, and we'll get a sense of who they are before we go to answer those connection questions. So I'm going to sit here awkwardly for a couple minutes.
Lowell, got 2 questions for you. One, it says 8 XP to level on the character sheet.
Yeah, that should be 5. I'm sorry.
And then it also says control on the character sheet, but that's not on the emotion wheel.
Yeah, that's another word for power.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Got
Thank you. I should have said that. That's a good point of clarification.
Just making sure.
Absolutely. Okay, Puckett, do you mind me having you start and tell us about what you're picturing for your character, John Schiffer?
John is about 16 years old, and he is, in many senses of the word, a punk. A little bit smart-mouthed, doesn't really respect authority, listens to punk rock, thinks he knows more than he does. And he is a latchkey kid. So as a result of that, he kind of looks for places to get in, and he's kind of used to being on his own and having to fend for himself, and not always in the most legal ways.
And what do you imagine in terms of appearance, look, dress?
Actually, I got a picture down
Oh.
underneath in the image section.
And is the leather jacket is classic icon for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's actually, I think, the same leather jacket I have.
And so, why is he a latchkey kid? What you have a single parent family? You have a 2-parent family with a lot of work. What do you imagine for that?
I think it is. I think it's a single parent family, and his mom works a couple of jobs, and it might be one of those things where she works, scrubbing the floors at a hospital until like early afternoon, mid afternoon, and then goes and works the night shift someplace else. So,
But only child?
yes.
Do you think do you live in an apartment? Do you live in a house? What do you imagine?
I think it's probably a kind of shabby, rundown apartment where you can tell that somebody's doing the best they can, but the best they can do is not that great. It's not a particularly great neighborhood. He has probably had to have more than one fight after school just to get home. And so he's grown up a bit on the streets.
Okay.
And it's not through a lack of care or attention, it's just through necessity.
And has he lived here all his life?
I think so.
How far away is the school? Do you imagine that we're talking about your apartment place is within walking distance to the school? Or do you have to catch a bus, or do you have to bike or be dropped off? What's that distance you imagine?
I'm thinking it's about a mile and a half.
Okay.
So it's technically walkable. And he kind of has to, because I don't think he has a bicycle. He might have a skateboard that he acquired through some means or another. But bicycle is probably not his speed.
What's on the back of his jacket?
He has a Tester's Paint illustration of the Misfits Crimson Ghost.
Okay.
It's all in white. So
It's got that cracking that you get when you do testers on leather eventually.
yeah.
Okay. All right. That gives me a good sense of your character. I'm going to come back around once we've got everyone introduced to talk about role and identity questions. Robert, can you tell me about your alliterative character?
Yeah, so I'm playing as Garrett Gamble. He is, I'd say, probably like 16 years old also. And he's like the backup quarterback for the school's football team. I think his family moved here maybe like a year or two ago. And I think he probably grew up as kind of like in his previous city that he lived in, he was kind of a geek, and like pre-puberty was always kind of book smart and just hit the books. And then once he hit puberty, his family moved off, and in his new city, then he ended up getting recruited onto the football team.
And before I ask about your family, is it, well, let me blend this together. Is that something that your family wanted? Is that something that you just kind of fell into? What for that?
I think family was definitely pushing him into that. They really, yeah, they were trying to push him into some sort of sports. I think it was his ambition to go into academics of some sort, but his family's almost counting on him to, like, as a lottery ticket of sorts, to hit it big as an athlete.
Siblings?
I think probably, yeah, like he has a younger brother,
Okay.
probably like 3 years younger.
And we can modify that as we need to for siblings and things like that. Both mother and father demanding, or is it one over the other?
I think it's probably the mother is more demanding and the father just goes with it.
Are you good enough to be the front quarterback?
I don't think so. I think, if he spent as much time working on, just studying the rule or studying the playbook and everything else as he does actually working hard to get good grades, he probably could be. But as it is, he still sort of values good grades and learning over his dedication to sports.
And what is the on screen? What would we see that would be sort of our visible sign of your family being demanding on you? Is it nagging? Is it you working hard at things? What would we see as that manifestation?
I think it's definitely nagging anytime he's around, because if he's around the house at all, then he's not out, practicing. He's not out doing something that could make himself better. And then I think, he's definitely always pushing himself way too hard, just because if he doesn't, the worry is that mom might find out that he didn't give it 120%, and then he'll hear about it.
Does he lift? Like seriously lift?
Probably not seriously lift. I think he probably lifts along with the team.
Okay, so that isn't a thing. That is a huge thing, like it can be for some kids in that environment. And he said he hit that sort of puberty spurt growth up into the body he's in now. Is that done? Has he hit the end of that, or is he still changing?
I think he's still probably growing.
Okay, so maybe not entirely comfortable in his own skin right now.
Oh yeah.
Awesome. That gives me good stuff to work with. I will come back with you to talk about those connections. Leandro, can you please tell me about your character, Justine?
Yeah. So Justine is around, let's say, 16 years old. She's probably lived in New Mexico her whole life. Her role here is the emo slash goth. Probably gonna lean more on the emo side. She's someone who probably before this, like, there was a summer where before she was kind of like a quiet sort of keeps to herself, almost non-entity sort of person, and then a summer happens and she comes into school. She's got a job, she has a new look, she's trying on some new airs, some more trying on confidence. She's trying to fake confidence, but see if it will actually happen IRL. She's I think people can probably see through it, but she's giving it her best shot.
So what does the emo for her look like? What does that dress up look like for her?
Let's see. The picture I have here is probably tad elaborate. Probably, yeah, those sort of like kind of ruffled shirts, but that's what you experiment on. I think she kind of flip flops. It goes from either that to like Avril Lavigne style, like skater wear, out out of character. My knowledge of emo starts at 2004, so
Fair enough.
not entirely sure. I don't want to just skip in, but like, yeah, that's sort of like scruffy, but like it's not like, it's not outwardly threatening like punk. It's more like, shabby chic, I guess, is what it is.
Okay.
Extraneous ties. That's probably a feature.
Let me
Yeah.
ask you this. Both John and Garrett are very clearly Caucasian. The character image you've chosen here appears Asian. What's her ancestry? Is that unusual in this town? What do you imagine?
Yeah, she's definitely Asian American. I'd say Korean descent.
Okay.
I think probably through her grandmother's side.
Okay.
Her mother's side. Sorry.
Okay. So second generation.
Yeah, for sure. I think there is probably like a fairly decent contingent of an Asian American community.
Okay. So we've got a town that maybe we had a strong family that then brought others over that kind of drew in. So we have a decent. It's not too unusual. Okay. And where does she work?
She works at a cafe. It's called Castaway Cafe, and the name came from the owner being a really big fan of that Tom Hanks movie Castaway that came out 2 years ago.
Okay.
So he wanted a theme, and he wanted,
So we've got basketballs with handprints on them as decoration and that kind of thing.
yeah, like kind of tropic feel as well.
Okay. How long has she worked there?
I think she probably got very recently, around in the summer. At least the summer before whenever this game will be set.
Is she good at it?
It's cafe work. There's a limit to how good I guess she can be. I think she got that job mostly trying as a bit of independence away from like her family and everyone else. It's more like, okay, I'm trying to stake out, my own shit. This cafe is kind of like mine. This is where I work. And
Your parents approve of you working?
oh yeah, they see it as like, oh good, taking initiative for sure. Justine.
Siblings?
I'd say she has 2 siblings.
Okay. Multiple.
She has a. Okay.
Oh, let's hold off on defining those. We might get those in the connections. So,
Okay. Cool.
so I come into the cafe and I say, "I'm your friend, Justine. Can you get me a free coffee?" What does Justine say?
I think she's gonna very melodramatically sigh and poke you on what have you done for her lately.
Okay. So there is a willingness, but it has to be a quid pro quo.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Excellent. That gives me a good sense, and I will come back to you on connections. Julie, can you tell me about your character, Leela?
Yes, so Leela's also 16, and her parents.
I'm going to stop you
moved-
just one second.
Sorry.
Can you move your mic up a little closer to your mouth?
Yes, sorry, is that better?
That's okay.
Okay.
Much better.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So she's 16, and her parents moved when her mom was pregnant, so she was born here. But they came legally and everything, and they have a small shop. But they want her to focus on school, so. But their shop's not doing well, so she's always pretty stressed about money and everything. So she uses like her geekiness to just play games and read comics and escape her current situation.
What kind of shop?
It's a small convenience store, but now there's a chain down the road or something, so it's not doing well anymore.
So just a bad placement, and that's gotten worse over time.
Yeah.
Do you have a loyal customer base, or is it pretty much catch as catch can for people that come through?
Yeah, it's just people that pass through.
Do you have to work there at all?
When they let me, but
Okay.
They really want me to focus on school.
Do you think you have siblings?
I have an older brother.
And what kind of geekiness is central to her? Is it a medley of all kinds of things, or are there a few things that she really leans into?
She likes designing her own comics to share with her friends, just about their life at school and stuff.
Is like web comics or zine comics or real like large, more professional graphic novel kind of things? What do you imagine?
She just has like a notebook she sketches stuff in.
Yeah, and we're still in the heyday where that kind of thing can get notice here on the internet in those days. And is she good?
She's good. Yes,
Good.
definitely.
Do your parents know that you do that kind of goofing around?
They think I've outgrown it, so I hide it from them now.
And how does she dress?
I put a picture at the bottom too, but pretty plainly. Like, it's New Mexico, so it's hot, so she just wears skirts and shorts, and it's cold inside, so she always has a jacket. Nothing fancy, because they don't have a lot of money.
What's her ambition if she's not kind of doing the school focus that her parents have leaned on her with? What does she think she's going to be doing in a couple years?
She wants to travel the country and just see what else is out there. She's been in this town her whole life.
Excellent. Okay, well, that gives me a good sense of your character. We'll come around. We do these connection questions. And that's what we're going to do next is we're going to go through and everybody's going to answer one of the two connection questions that they have. And essentially suggest who you think might be appropriate for that. And actually, we'll do both of them because it's easier to do it that way. So, Puckett, if I start with you, let's start with one of your connection questions. Which one would you like to start with, and who do you think might be appropriate? And we'll check in with them to make sure that they're cool with that.
Who wasn't a snitch when they saw what I was up to? And I think that would be kind of interesting if that was Leela. Kind of contrast the geekiness and sort of inside kid stuff with. I don't necessarily think it's criminality.
Mm-hmm.
But it might have been something like cheating on a test, or maybe trying to get into a teacher's room to get a test key or something like that.
Okay. Julie, does that fit with your sense of Leela?
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. And then what's your other one, Puckett?
The other one is 2 seconds here. Who has a family who cares where they are? Any volunteers?
I was thinking probably Garrett for that. His
Okay.
family cares where he is because they need him to be practicing at all times.
But certainly to John, a latchkey kid, it appears like maybe more than that.
Yeah. I mean, it's perception is reality.
Okay.
There is an adult present who seems to care.
Okay.
That kind of adds up to it for John.
All right. I'm going to come and I'm going to do the other questions with everybody. And when we come back, we're going to ask you about an entanglement and a problem, Puckett. Let's come to Garrett Gamble. Garrett, what's the first of your connection questions?
Someone gets the commitment I make to my sport. I'm thinking maybe Justine, since Justine is the only one with a job. That level of commitment makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I get that. Like, you have something that you're really working at.
I like that. And what's your other one?
Someone skips through life and has never had to deal with the pressure I'm under, and I think I would probably say Leela for that. Just because she's, always sketching in her book, and she talks about, traveling the country and just this living this free life.
Does that work for you?
I think that could work. But she is actually under lots of pressure with her family being poor, though. You just perceive her as that way.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that makes sense.
that's great. Then let's come to Justine. What's your first one, Justine?
My first one is blank. Never made fun of me when I first changed my look. Yeah, I don't have a particularly honestly. If anyone wants to define their their kid as being nice enough to do that, I'm fine with anyone.
I think that's certainly something that a punk would not make fun of.
Yeah, John really totally respect that sort of change.
You're being yourself. You're being your authentic self. You're being who you want to be. You're not letting anybody tell you anything different. I mean, goth wasn't that far off from punk when it started. I mean, Susie and Joy Division kind of played the same places. So,
All right.
And then what about your other connection?
My other one is blank resents when I try to take charge and usually pokes little holes in my plans. Yeah,
I could
that's
take that if no one wants it. I think that would work well.
yeah, I was eyeing one of your entanglements like, oh, okay, there's a there's, there's one that's a good like flip
I like
side.
that.
on that
All
one.
right. And then Layla.
Yeah, so I think Garrett gets how cool games, sci-fi, anime, and so on can be, because he used to be a geek.
Nice.
And then I think Justine, since she has a job and money, is always pushing for us to go and do stuff, but never thinks about how much it costs, which is why I resent when she tries to take charge.
Awesome. All right, that gives us a sense of those connections. Now I'm going to come back around to you, Pocket. We have a list of entanglements. Some of them are romantic, some of them are general on that page. Are there any of those that appeal to you? And when you fill it in, I want you to fill it in with one PC and one NPC. NPC can be somebody we've already named or someone new.
all right. So we're choosing both a problem and an entanglement.
Yes.
Okay. So my mom / dad talk about what happened to their spouse. Is it under the problems? Is it that they don't talk
don't
about?
talk about. Should be don't talk about.
Okay. Yeah. I think my mom is an alcoholic.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at this and I'm really trying to not recreate Tiny Tina.
Okay. Yeah.
So then with the entanglement,
And I want to pause here because alcoholism is sometimes an issue that's, is everybody okay with that being a thing on the table, an NPC involved with alcoholism? Okay. If anyone has an issue with that later on, feel free to X card and we'll modify that.
Mhm.
Okay. With that as your problem, what's your entanglement?
okay. And we're doing one PC and one NPC.
Yeah, choose one of the, we've got 20 entanglements to choose from, and you're going to put a PC and an NPC in that one.
Okay. I think Justine thinks my friend Jeff is a dirtbag. And I'm not buying it because Jeff and I have been through some stuff.
What's go on.
Okay, and is you said Jeff?
Yes.
Okay, so Justine thinks your friend Jeff is a dirtbag. Why, Justine? Why do you think Jeff is a dirtbag?
I don't know. If I ask John what Jeff's like, I'm sure John would just give me
Yeah.
nothing but superlatives. But what's Jeff like?
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say superlatives, but there have been a few times when jocks or local rednecks were trying to. They were starting to get like a little salty, and Jeff stepped in and kind of evened up the odds. And I'm not sitting here saying that the guy is a saint, but he's always had my back.
And Justine, what is it about Jeff or Jeff's interactions with you that makes you dislike him?
I think Jeff seems reckless. He seems like someone who's always kind of ready to step up. And I don't want John, and I feel like John will be dragged into something he probably shouldn't be dragged into. He keeps hanging around with Jeff.
Like he's a little more dangerous. Okay. Probably a little bit older.
Yeah, it's like 17 and a half.
Yeah, that's older.
That might as well be a generation older.
Yes, exactly. Okay. That gives us a problem, and it gives us an entanglement there. Let's come to Garrett then. Garrett, what do you want for your entanglement, and what do you want for your problem?
I think for my problem, I'm going to say that my mom and dad put everything on a credit card, but we're out of money. And that's why they're really leaning on to this idea of me becoming some kind of sports star and making it big.
So you're in that precarious position where they're kind of just rolling things forward on credit, trying to stay ahead of it. Okay. Do you think that Garrett realizes that?
I think he probably has an idea of it, but he probably doesn't understand how bad it really is.
Okay. And then what would you like for your entanglement?
I'm thinking that I humiliated myself in front of Justine, who I have a crush on, and my little brother won't let anyone forget it.
How did you humiliate yourself?
I think I probably went to the cafe that Justine works at, and maybe didn't even realize that she worked there. And it's one of those things where I just, he's like a pesky little brother, and he has to know everything that, is going on in my life because, I'm his big brother. And I probably slipped up and let him know about, this girl that I have a crush on. And so we just went into the cafe, and he basically just called it out, and he almost instigated it himself and sort of humiliated me. And I think I just made it worse by, trying to correct the situation and just stammering out some sort of nonsense.
Justine, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
What's your little brother's name?
Brandon.
Justine, do you think you take, you're friends with Garrett. You guys have kind of formed a clique. Do you think you take that seriously? Is it just a goofy thing that his brother did? How did you react when that went down?
I think she kind of just thought, oh, it's just Garrett being Garrett. She was at work, so he was kind of in work mode, and she thought, okay, Garrett. Oh, there's Garrett. He seems a bit flustered, but hey, we're all a bit flustered.
Okay, so a little bit of a writing off of it. All right. And Justine, then let's come to you. What's your problem? And what's your entanglement?
Gosh, I'm having problems trying to figure it out. Honestly, there's
Sure.
a lot of good choices, and I've
Oh,
narrowed-
that's the answer I wanted to hear. Was there good choices rather than I can't see any that I want?
yeah, I've got like a short list. I'm
Okay.
just whittling it down. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You might have to come back to me if that's all right.
Okay. I'm fine doing that. Let's Lila, if we were to jump to you, would you be okay with giving us a problem and or entanglement?
Yep.
Okay.
So my older sibling's a criminal.
Ooh. Tell us about that.
So to try and help out the family get some money, he got involved with a gang selling drugs, but he got caught, so now he's in prison.
Like short termer, like 6 months, or for a longer stretch.
For a couple years.
Ooh, okay.
He started leading the gang, having like his own sub gang.
And what's his name?
Carlos.
Did you know about that when that was going on?
No, I did not.
Had no clue, huh?
No, nobody did. They just came and hauled him away one day.
And what was your parents' reaction? Was it disappointment? Was it disbelief?
Oh yeah, they were shocked. I mean, they didn't raise us that way at all. Like they wanted us to focus on school and better ourselves, but he just took it upon himself to try and save the family and went the wrong way.
How long ago did he get incarcerated?
3 years ago, or
Okay.
2. Never mind. If he's sure, let's say 3 years ago, he had to go in for 5 total, so he's still got 2 years left.
Okay. Potential for some out for good behavior. It's also been long enough that you might not get made fun of in school for that kind of thing. And then what do you want for your entanglement?
I think my entanglement would be. Sorry, I just lost it. Oh, okay. My friend Kelly has been doing after school stuff with John and lying to me about it.
Like, are you okay with that, John? And what kind of thing would that be?
Well, we've been telling people that we're sort of going out. But what's really been going on is that she's been tutoring me because I'm really, really awful at algebra. But the last thing that I want anybody to find out is that I'm getting tutored, because it's like, it's an academic. I mean, why would I care?
So we've got a double layer of lies here. Is Kelly hasn't told Lila that this is even going on, and then there's a layer of lying about what actually is happening.
Yeah, because I mean, and I think that part of what's going on is that Kelly is not seen as a particularly cool kid. So it's almost remember Can't Buy Me Love?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, you got it. So she's kind of trying to latch on to some level of coolness by hanging out with the punk guys, and I'm trying to pick up something about school and education from her. So it's mutually beneficial, but we're both kind of misrepresenting it to other people.
Are you good with that, Lila?
Yes.
Okay. Then let's come back to Justine.
Okay, yeah. So I think I figured out the problem. My problem is that my older sibling accused dad of terrible things, and I think. Sorry, do you have a question?
No, I'm just looking up.
Yeah, I think my older sibling, who's actually, well, I say older. She's older by like what, a minute or two.
Okay.
Her name is Liza, and she's accused our dad of having had an affair.
Oh,
Weird enough, our dad is to stay at home while our mom works as a teacher in school. That's why Justine's almost like a bit of a non-entity before the summer, because she's already like she
Right.
and her sister Liza are already like, daughters of the teacher. But yeah, so our mom is kind of like the breadwinner of the family. I don't know why my siblings just. I don't know if she discovered something. It was a very
do you
confusing.
believe it?
I don't want to. Um,
But
that's sweet, but I know my sister isn't, flake. Isn't someone who, like she's a smart cookie.
Okay.
She's a straight A student. She wouldn't just do this. She wouldn't pull this accusation out of nowhere.
Okay. So two people who really shouldn't be, and yet. Okay. And then what about your entanglement?
Ah, I think. Can I ask Lila again? Is it well known that your brother is a criminal?
No, not very well known.
Okay, so then is it okay if I use entanglement? I suspect my friend Lila's sibling Carlos to be a criminal,
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
but yeah, but I haven't said anything.
All right. That gives me some good material to work with. You'll notice I haven't filled in. I had you fill in anchor. Anchor is going to be the person that you go, the NPC that you go to talk to like get better, to who helps you out. But we'll have you define that on the fly. What I want to do now is I'm going to take about 10 minutes for our break. And when we come back, I'm going to launch us into some home scenes and also get some definition on the town, even as we start to roll into the weirdness. Does that seem okay with everybody? Okay. So we're going to take 10. All right, so I'm going to guess, Puckett, that you're back.
I am here.
Okay. So our town that we are in is somewhere in the 30, maybe 40,000 population, so substantial for this part of the country. Probably spread out. We've got various districts and burbs and things like that. For the purposes of this, we're simply going to call it PbtA. So that is the name of the town, is PbtA. We're here in New Mexico. Let me ask you this, John. What is really broken here in PbtA? What doesn't work, or what don't they have?
From my perspective, the thing that's broken is there's not a lot of stuff for kids to do. There's not really a youth center. I mean, the boys club, the Boys and Girls Club has kind of been sliding for years. For me personally, there's not really any punk around. So, I've got to drive if I want to see any bands like Scared of Chaka or whoever. So
anything that would be sort of for younger people is like seriously younger, like playgrounds or things like that. But anything for slightly preteens or teens,
for adolescents, there's not really much of anything for us. It's like you hang out in the parking lot at the convenience store until the clerk kicks you out. But if you can go to the mall if you've got money, you can go to the movies if you got money. But if you're broke, there's nothing.
Okay. On the flip side, Garrett, what is something that PbtA has that is striking, unusual, maybe in a positive way?
I think actually our school district is really, really good. For some reason, we probably overachieve, and both in academics and sports, I think.
Is that a factor of money in the local area? Is it a factor of a particularly strong set of principals or teachers, or how does that come about?
I think maybe it is
magnet
money in
schools,
the area.
like they focused in. Okay.
I think they are able to pay for better teachers and better coaches, because I think they've somehow drawn. It's kind of, business is sort of booming in town. There's more money coming in, so there's more businesses coming in to try to get at that money, which then leads to more money coming in. It's just sort of a cycle of money coming into the town.
Justine, what is that business? Why is there money here? What is the industry or whatever that has kind of sparked here in the local area?
Ooh, trying to think. Because when you said business, my initial thought was to go with like, I don't know, an internet.com sort of boom, but they would have gone bust by around this time. Maybe it hasn't yet here.
Like we're on the tail end of that?
Yeah, that's like, yeah, you're at the end where everyone's saying like, oh man, yeah, we can, like, we've got pets.com, we can make a lot of money on that. We make some great stocks off pets.com or geology.org.
So we've got a number of those, like Furniture Finder and internet-driven businesses that have popped up and have built. So we probably got like a tech park, industrial park that's gotten set up that caters to those people. But the writing is on the wall for that here soon. For that going down. Okay. So a lot of white collar folks there. Let me ask this then of Leela. Leela, what is the gathering hub for either your group of friends or teens in general? Where do you actually congregate? And it can be a couple of places or one place. What do you think?
I think we mostly hang out. There's like, since there aren't really any, like we don't want to go to parks like with little kids, but there's like an abandoned ish kind of building, and it's got some grass behind it and some trees. So we kind of just take over that area.
What was the building?
It was another small store like my parents.
So it kind of got like a store sort of strip place that has started up and then didn't make it, hasn't gotten entirely decrepit yet.
Yeah.
Is it a place that you hang out back of, or is there a way to get in?
No, we just hang out back of it.
Okay. Is it primarily your group of peers, or is it a lot of kids hang out there?
I think it's more my group of peers. So not a lot of kids know about it. Maybe my parents were friends with the previous owners.
Yeah, bought up stock when they went out. Knew them. Okay. Let's look at doing then a home scene with everybody. And I want to go around essentially give the opportunity. We're going to set up a thing and to give a narrative and talk about life at home, daily life with your character, and we'll kind of play around with that. We'll go through in that same order I just did with each person. So John, it's spring, probably late spring here, hot as hell here in New Mexico, and kind of getting that itch towards the end of the school year. So what do you want to zoom in on to look at John's character?
Morning before school.
Okay, yeah. So you get up that early in the morning, and unusually, you'll hear your mom like there. She's usually not there at all when you get up, but it looks like she's in. Is there a common room? Does she have her own room? What do you imagine that space is like?
I think it's a 2-bedroom.
Okay, so she's got her own
Yeah.
space. Yeah, so you hear her. She's clearly still up and is moving around in her bedroom, like she's either putting things away or putting things out. You're not sure. So, what do you do?
Knock on the door. Say, Mom?
And she opens the door, and she looks kind of ashen and tired, and she says, "Hey, John. Hey, John. Sorry, did I wake you up?"
No, I was getting up for school. What are you still doing here? Usually gone by now.
They cut my shift early and sent me home.
They never cut your shift.
They paid me for full shift, but they sent me home.
You feeling all right? You don't look like you're doing that well.
She goes, it's just, it was a bad cleanup. And she kind of paused. She goes, I don't want to talk about it.
All right. Do you need anything?
No, I just I got a couple of extra hours, so I'm going to take the chance to take an extra nap and so on. I'm sorry, I should have probably stopped and gotten you something if I was going to be home like this, but I hope that's okay. I didn't.
That's okay. We got some toaster waffles in the freezer. I mean I'm fine. You don't look so good, Mom.
It was a bad night.
You sure there's nothing I can do?
Yeah. And she clearly moves to kind of move you along.
Well, I'm not quite buying her story, but
Do you want
I've
to
got to
try?
get
Do
to
you want to
school.
try and read her? I mean, this could be an opportunity if you want to push further. We could go to a study move.
Why not? Let's get into the mechanics.
Okay. So let me drop the roll for your party link. Copy. Drop that in the chat. Julie, have you used roll for your party with us?
I have not, but I've seen it, so I
Okay.
think I know the general idea.
Sure. I've put the link there, so we've got the shared roller. And if you have any questions about it, go ahead and say so. So, what do you think you want to roll for this, John? What mood is affecting you here?
Let's see. I think it's fear. Like I'm worried. Like,
Okay.
is she? I mean, I know she drinks, but like, did she drink too much? Did she get fired? Is she getting laid off? I mean, what is really going on, and how is this going to affect? I mean, I'd hesitate to
Yeah.
call it our family, but it's such as it is.
Yeah. Let's have you roll.
Righty. That's a 10.
That is a 10. So with a study move on a 10, you get some basic information. You also get 2 hold, and you can spend that hold to ask questions, or you can spend both your hold to reveal a detail. So the basic, I mean, she doesn't smell like she's been drinking. Clearly something else. So what would be your question here?
She's been doing hospital cleanups for a while.
Yeah.
How bad would something have to be for the hospital to send somebody with that much experience home and for her to look that shaken?
So her scrubs and a lot of the other gear and things like that. That's all stored at the hospital and washed at the hospital and things like that. Of course, she wears some things,
Mm-hmm.
and like you can see that she's got over on the dresser her socks that she was wearing. She clearly didn't take them off before she came home, and they're white where the shoe part is, and then they are just soaked red up until where the foot thing comes. So it would have to be pretty massive. Something happened, and blood everywhere. Like, I get that you've never seen anything quite like that. She doesn't bring home things like that.
Mm-hmm.
What's your second question?
Is there any way that I can get more information about what happened?
I will say this. That seems fair. Like some of her coworkers, and you've probably had to stop by the hospital from time to time to get some money for her, or pick up lunch, or check in, get her to sign things because she wasn't home when you did stuff signed. So you probably know a couple of the people at the hospital who work in parallel with her, who, if you went to go and gossip with them, you suspect you'd be able to get something out of them.
Okay.
Does that seem fair?
That's fair.
Okay. All right. Garrett, let's come to you. Where do you want to be with your home scene? Where do we want to see you?
I think I'm probably maybe. Well, I guess if it's springtime, I probably wouldn't have practice. So I'm just getting home from. I think I probably went for a jog or something.
Okay. And when you come in, your mom, you notice that thing that she does when you go out and exercise or whatever. You see her when she checks her watch. And you see her kind of look, and she looks disappointed. Like, you were out for what, half hour, 45 minutes? And she has that look of, you're not going to get anywhere. just doing 45 minutes worth of jogging and stuff. And you can see that on the table, she has taken delivery of another one, a batch of these sort of door-to-door pyramid marketing scheme protein powder supplements that she's got for you. What unique flavor has this one brought to the table?
Chocolate pomegranate.
Yeah, good chocolate pomegranate there. And it's got the black label with the silver on it, and it's Muscle Max chocolate pomegranate. And she's like, hey, you want me to mix you up something to drink? Thirsty?
Well, I told you that stuff doesn't work, and the coach doesn't want us taking these weird off-brand supplements.
I talked with Karen down at the workshop, and she assured me, and I looked up on the internet, and this is the highest rated privately sold. I mean, you can't buy this in stores. You can't even go down to GNC or whatever and buy it there. You have to buy it through one of their approved agents. So we're going to give this a try.
I mean, I have to study, and it's going to keep me up all night if I take this stuff now.
There's no caffeine in this.
I mean, okay, but
there's ginseng, and she begins to read through bone meal and so on, and going through all that.
Okay, I mean, if I take it, can I please just study in my room?
Okay. Sure. And she will mix that up for you. Is this one of those that requires milk, or is it water, or what?
Yeah, I think it probably requires milk.
Okay, yeah. So she does it, mixes it up in milk, stirs it up. Regardless of how hard she stirs, there's still the little clumps that do that swirl around at the top that you can't kind of get rid of, and then form to the side of the cup lip, and she'll hand that to you. It's a weird mixture of, if I could describe something as pinkish brown, I would. She watches.
I'll take a little drink of it.
Does it taste good?
No, I think it probably tastes horrible.
Yeah. And she waits for you to drink it all.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I would probably stand there.
Little brother in the background has come in and seen this horrible, nasty thing that you have in your hands that she's making you drink, and there's this look on his face at that point.
I guess I'd probably just chug it down just to get done with it.
Let's have you rise to the challenge. What's your mood when you try and slam back this incredibly nasty thing in a demonstration of your manliness or toxic manliness, whichever this is?
I would say probably fear, because I'm worried about what it's going to do to me.
Absolutely. So go ahead and roll.
So that's an 8.
That is an 8. So I think you go to slam it back, and you do, but there's that last little bit that sludges down and kind of jams in the back of your throat as it comes, like somehow like a skin formed on the powder with the milk, and so it was like a pocket of the powder that kind of hits you right at the back of your throat there. And while you drink it down and please your mother, your brother is having a giggle fit. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And your mom will let you go then. What are you studying? What are you worried about at school that like you want to make sure that you follow up on?
I think I'm probably doing extra study work on my math, because I think everything else is fine. It's just the math that I have trouble with.
How many days ago did your math partner go missing?
I think it's been a week.
Yeah. Male or female?
Female.
female. So you had a young woman who was your math partner, and her name was Grace Tenorio, and she was your math partner, probably on your level. What was her outstanding feature?
I think she was like very, very, very tall for her age, and being. I think she was probably a volleyball player,
Okay.
and so that's how we ended up studying together.
And that's made it harder because you were working with her, doing drills with her, and so on. So, what is the study technique we see on screen? Do you actually study, or do you get distracted, or what?
I think I'm studying, but also getting, I'm trying to study, but it's one of those things where I start looking at one math problem and then start writing something down, and then my eyes just kind of glaze over, and I have to start over because I don't even remember where I was in the problem.
There is a moment when you're sitting there, when you're kind of leaning over the books and so on, when you hear the wind come through, and it comes in hard. I don't know if you've ever been out in the Midwest where it's so flat, or out here in the Southwest where it's so flat, where the wind catches and just carries. And you've got some scrub grass that's outside your window. And there is a moment when that grass kind of hits against the window and the wind catches it, that you swear you hear someone say your name.
I think I just glance over at the window to see if I see anything out there other than the grass.
Just the grass against the window.
I probably just assume that I'm just hearing things, and as I'm kind of daydreaming in mid math problem.
Yeah. You cough up a little more pomegranate and then continue studying. Let's come to Justine. Justine, what do you want for your home scene?
I think this is also set after school.
Okay.
I think I've mentioned that her mom works as a teacher. It used to be, I think, no, it still is. Like at the start of the school day, she drives me and my sister to school, but at the end, get home, however, because she's probably working or doing something else. And Justine,
What grade school teacher is your mom?
Here's where I need help because I don't live in America.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So we've got kindergarten, which is the sort of the youngest kids, very much kind of a daycare version. And then there's first through sixth grade, and I'm doing my area that can vary, but first is sixth grade, and then that's grade school. And then there's middle school, in a lot of places is seventh and eighth graders. And then high school is 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade.
Yeah. Where would we be? Because I think
you're in high school. So you're probably 16 years old. You're probably either sophomores or juniors. Probably, we're saying tail end of the school year, so you're probably ending your sophomore year.
Yeah. I'd say probably like middle school then.
Okay.
Seventh grade.
It's a challenging because kids are trying to transition from being in little kid school with recess to more organized schooling. So it's a tough thing to do. So where do we see you?
I think there used to be a time when her mom would also offer to pick us up from school, but we're teenagers now. We got our own ways of doing things, and I think Justine has kind of put her foot down and says no, she prefers to walk back home. So kind of the image kind of we see is like her taking a walk home. She's got jeans on even though it's late spring because she doesn't like showing off her legs. She's listening to music. She bought an iPod recently because she's got some spending money now. Listening to Jimmy Eat World. They just released an album. Yeah.
And you're walking along and you will see at one of the telephone poles this girl, like a freshman from your school, and you can see that she's got a stack of flyers, and a staple gun, and she is going along from wooden telephone pole to wooden telephone pole, stapling up these flyers with some faces on it. And it's not the only one you see on these. You see there are a couple of other flyers as well on the telephone poles.
Yeah, I think I kind of see that and like, I was gonna pay attention, but then I probably figured I should probably pay attention to what this is. So I'll just move closer to see what's on the flyers.
And she sees you. She kind of recognizes your age, and she says, "Oh, hey, I think you go to my school."
Hi. I just raise a hand.
And she holds out this flyer, and she says, "My brother, Noah, he's been gone a couple days now. Hasn't called home. Hasn't come back. Have you seen him? Yeah, you work at the cafe, don't you?"
Yeah, we work at Castaways. Can I take a flyer from her?
Yeah. She hands you this. This is Noah Martinez, who's a kid your age in your grade, and kind of keeps to himself, and he didn't even realize he was missing.
Yeah. Is there a way to for me to figure out if I had seen this kid before?
Sure, absolutely. Let's have you make a study roll.
Cool. I think I'm. What am I feeling? Let's see. I think I'm. This is gonna sound like a jerk, but I'm feeling kind of peaceful. It's more like
Yeah, you were walking along. You listened to your headphones. It was fun.
yeah. So
Have you roll?
yeah, it's +0. That's an 8.
That is an 8. So with 8, you get 1 hold. What is your question?
Yeah. Have I seen Noah Martinez at the cafe?
Yeah, he actually comes through every once in a while. You guys do those like Italian ice granita things, and he doesn't look like the kind of kid who would usually get them, but he does. And you actually remember like a couple days ago that he came through, looked like he'd been working, and did that awkward 16-year-old boy thing where he kind of stood there and ordered his granita and mumbled, when he ordered, and kind of stood there awkwardly for a bit, and threw his tip in the cup and kind of scampered off. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I say yeah, I saw him a few days ago. He seemed he was ordering the Italian stuff. He seemed nervous. When did he disappear?
A couple of days ago. I haven't heard from him since then.
Sorry, what's your name?
Mariella.
Yeah. Well, I did see him a few days ago at the cafe. For what it's worth, I think it was.
And she runs you through what time was this? How long was he there? This may kind of fit in with some of the other timeline that she has, and she does look kind of frantic. And she says, "I don't know. We talked to the police, and the police say it's teenagers, and teenagers run away from Zepeda all the time, and it's just that there's been so much of this going on."
I think Justine's headphones is on her neck, but the music's still blaring.
Uh-huh.
I think I guess that doesn't mean you should stop trying. It's her brother.
Oh no! It wasn't just. Yeah, I just don't. If you. I mean, I don't know if you hear anybody who's seen him, or if you see him again. If he's just out, doing something. Just, would you please?
Yeah. No, I'll keep an eye out. Maybe I might pop back at a cafe or something.
Okay. And you see her head on to continue on her road here. Had you noticed the fact that there are like 4 kids that are missing over the last few weeks in town?
Um, if I'm going to be honest, probably not.
Yeah. And so we probably do see you kind of your eyes focus in on this telephone pole where you see, these different faces, and a couple of them have old flyers with fresh flyers put over them.
I think I feel like a shiver go down my spine. It's like it's not right. But what am I gonna do about it? I think I'm gonna like. Oh, go.
Yeah, no. And do you head to work? Do you head home?
I think I'm heading to work.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna like carefully put the flyer in my bag and just put my headphones on and try to like think about something else.
How long does it take you to forget about that? Is it a block? Is it 2 block? Is it does it take you to the time to get to work to forget about it, or is it in and out of your head?
Yeah, I think I don't remember it until I'm like in the middle of work and I reach for something in my bag and I see that flyer. It's a disgracefully long time.
Excellent. All right. So let's cut over to Lila. Lila, where are we going to see your home scene? What do we want to see of that?
So I'm gonna say it's the morning, and since my parents are trying to get as much money as possible, they keep the store open really late. So like I wake up pretty early since I'm in high school anyway, and I just kind of like get them breakfast ready and watch the store for like an hour in the morning. So I'm just like in the store alone, kind of in the dark because it's not fully open yet. There aren't many people around.
Yeah, it's quiet. I mean, I imagine that the landscape outside the store itself is pretty barren. Probably the road, maybe another store or two across the way, but you're off a little bit the beaten path here, and you will see the door open, and you see this guy who's really bundled up. That often tells you that somebody has some mental health issues because they can't track their body temperature. So here it is. It's pretty hot out, but they've got like a couple of jackets on. They got a hood pulled up. They've got something wrapped around their mouth. They've got gloves on, and you will see them shuffle in and shuffle over to the case. What's your usual procedure when you get a weirdo in the store?
I just try to treat them like anyone else, hoping they'll act like anyone else. So I just be like, "Good morning, sir. Can I help you find anything?" Are you looking for something?
See him wander over to the refrigerated case and see him look, and he reaches in and he pulls out one of those overly large cans of Arizona green tea, the big ones, pop top thing, and he carries that over to the counter, and he sets it down, and when he does, you'll notice that he's left like sort of greasy fingerprints on the side of it. So you can either choose to pick it up and scan it, or just kind of type in the number by eye.
Yeah, I'm just gonna type in the number.
Okay. And you give him the total, and he kind of reaches into the pocket and does that thing where he pulls out change and kind of starts dropping it on the counter. It's wet when he drops it, damp, and you see him drop, drop, and drop, and then he kind of like looks up, and it's hard to kind of see his face, but you can tell he's got some kind of acne or some kind of condition. Looks up at you to see whether that was enough.
Yeah, that's perfect, sir. Thank you so much. Can I get you anything else?
Puts the rest of the change back into his pocket, picks up the Arizona tea, and starts to shuffle off. But you'll see him stop because you have a bulletin board like by the door, and he starts looking over that.
Are you interested in anything on our board, sir? We have a lot of specials and other people around here, you know, selling kittens and stuff. And
you see him kind of looks at it, kind of runs his fingers along the bottom where there are a couple of missing persons pictures. And you see him reach out and he puts his fingers on one of those. And then you see him reach up and pull the tab off of one of the free kitten, you know, the numbers to call for kittens. He kind of rips that off of there and then wanders out the door.
could I go like wake up my parents and be like, "What the heck was that?"
Yeah, absolutely. So you go wake them up. Is it your mom or your dad that's like asleep in the recliner?
Or my dad's asleep
Okay.
in the recliner. Yeah.
I was just, what is it like? I just want to take a nap. Is it time for me to watch the store?
Dad, there was like a super creepy guy that just came in. He was like laughing at the missing persons people. Like, can we call someone? Like, I couldn't really see what he looked like. He was all bundled up, but it's so hot outside. Like, I don't know what just happened. I don't know where he went. He's just
Did
gone.
he say anything to you? Did he touch you?
No, he's all like gross and slimy though. But
Did he steal anything?
no, he bought a tea and he paid for it. I just, he dropped a couple quarters and I told him that was fine just so he'd leave, and he just left.
Listen. If he didn't do anything to you, if you paid for his stuff, we're not calling the cops.
But I mean, just the way he was looking at the missing kid posters, like he recognized them, and I don't know.
Let's have you. This seems like you're trying to persuade your parent here. So the move for that is called put pressure. So what do you want to roll to apply pressure to your dad?
So as in I pick an emotion?
Yeah, which emotion do you think is governing your behavior right now?
Definitely fear, 'cause
Okay.
I have no idea what's going on.
Why don't you roll with that?
Okay, assuming I did that right, it's 7.
7, and what is your fear?
I'm afraid that guy did something to the missing kids.
Oh, what number is your fear?
Oh,
I'm sorry. That's me.
0. So
0. So yeah, I think your dad reluctantly calls the cops, and a patrolman comes by a while later, and like says, "So, what did you see, ma'am?"
just this guy. He was all like bundled up, and he wasn't really talking clearly. Like, I don't know, maybe there's something wrong with him, but he just like was, kind of laughing at the missing kid posters, and he seemed like proud of them. He had like this bright green scarf around him, so maybe that's identifiable.
He takes it down and he turns to your dad and says, "I'm going to need your security footage." And your dad's like, "It's broken right now." Because your dad, it is like he hasn't spent the money to get it fixed. And this guy's like, "Seriously?" Dad gets deferring and stuff. And you'll point out which posters you like touched, and the cop will actually pull the pins on those and take them with him. He sort of takes you seriously. Like, clearly you seem weirded out, but at the same time, you have the sense that this is kind of falling into the abyss. of the cops. Like the cops may be a little more concerned with the fact that your father doesn't have actual real security camera than he is with this guy. Does that seem fair?
Yep.
Okay. So let's cut to the four of you. And let's say it's evening. The four of you hanging out together. Is it that you're kind of playing a little hooky on a weeknight, or do you think it's a weekend night? What do you think, Puckett?
I think it's probably a weeknight.
Okay.
And so we all know that we have school the next day, but I think we're all weirded out by what's gone on, because I started off my morning by my mom being weirded out, and it sounds like everybody else had a hell of a day with weirdness occurring.
So yeah, you guys, there's probably that long, uncomfortable bit of hanging out where you guys chat and kind of talk around the subject. And who do you think is the let me think here. Wouldn't be Garrett. Lila, do you think you mentioned your thing first, or do you think John maybe mentions his thing first? What do you think?
I think I'd mention my thing first.
And so how do you describe this to them? How do you get them to understand just how freakish this was?
Yeah, I think I just tell them like how the guy seemed really out of it, and yet like he could still get change out of his pocket, and he clearly recognized kids on the poster, but he just like was not in this, I don't know, just not really present in the moment really. He was just kind of shuffling around creepily, and I don't know. Just not normal. Not that I recognize people a lot, but he was definitely not from around here.
Justine, how seriously do you take that?
I think, yeah, I think a bit seriously, especially after she remembered that flyer. I think she still has the headphones on around her neck, but they're not playing music this time. I think that's when she brings up that, there have been multiple missing kids lately. She brings it up as if it's new, but everyone else probably noticed it before her.
And John, what's your reaction to this turn in the conversation?
I mean, it kind of sounds like a garden variety wino. Like probably had too much sterno or something like that. I mean, yeah. I mean, if I were in your shoes, I would have been unsettled. But how do you know it's weirder than anything that normally happens like that?
I don't know. There's just something different about this guy. Like even like he was like oozing stuff. Like something was not right. He was all bundled up in the middle of a freaking New Mexico almost summer now. Like
Look at me. I've got a leather jacket on.
But I mean, he had like a scarf and coat and gloves. Gloves. Who wears gloves? But he was still like oozing through gloves. Like it was gross. I don't know. There's something wrong there.
Wait, define oozing what? Oozing?
I like this just gross like sludge stuff. I don't know. I didn't even touch the can.
Like
You know,
dirty sweat, or I mean,
no, like oil, but it. I don't know. I don't know what oil looks like. Like I'm always drawing stuff. I don't know, but it just was gross stuff I'd never seen before.
Garrett, they're talking about your math partner who's gone missing. That's sort of been the whole scheme of things here.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely interested because, I want to find out what happened to my math partner. So I definitely believe you.
Wait, he took a little thing off a flyer for free kittens. I wonder if he contacted that lady. Maybe we should go ask.
Do you know who that lady is?
Yeah, it's Mrs. Fitz down the street. She's got cats all the time, and I don't know where they come from or whatever, but I mean, maybe he contacted her and maybe she saw him again.
I mean, having another adult set of eyes on somebody like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not that I don't believe you. It's weird, but the guy sounds like a dozen homeless guys I've seen. But I mean, if we've got somebody else like who has seen the dude and is like, yeah, that's weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Besides, I mean,
and
honestly, I could kind of use a kitten.
yeah, so I mean, we can go check her out maybe.
Yeah, how far away from here does Mrs. Fitz live?
Maybe just like a mile.
Yeah, you guys could probably hoof it there. It's getting late, but yeah. Do you want to walk over there?
Yeah.
Okay. Garrett, you down with that?
Yeah, I'm good with it. I think Garrett is kind of gagging a little bit because when Leela was talking about the sludge, all he could think about was that stupid protein shake.
And you will get to a mile walk. It's certainly dusk, getting that sort of shadows from the sun, the horizon at this point, and you will come up to Mrs. Fitz's house. You will hear the sound of CBS on the television in the distance, and when the wind turns, there will be that wave of ammonia that comes out from the house, like the windows are open and it just kind of washes through it, and you're hit by that wave of that distinctive smell. And kind of, you see cats are in the windows. You see cats in the backyard. You see cats in the upper windows. There's a little thing on the doorbell that says broken knock.
Do you know her?
I mean, she came into my parents' store to give us a flyer, so kind of. I've seen her.
A flyer for free kittens. I don't
I
think
mean,
we used to get that much often.
she's a sweet little old lady. Like, I'll knock. It's fine.
See a knock, and immediately you hear a chorus of mewling. It kind of starts up, and cats, are at the front door doing that stretch up at the screen. And about a minute or two later, we'll see this Mrs. Fitz, the little woman. She kind of hobbles through this cascade of cats, kind of moving them aside, and she comes up and she looks and she sees a gang of Utes on her front porch, and she sees that it's Leela. You're kind of leading me. She says, uh, can I help you, young lady?
Hi. Yeah, we were just wondering if you've had anyone call you about cats today?
I've had some people come by and ask about the kittens. Is it the kitten you're looking for? Are you looking for kittens? I have kittens.
Actually, we're looking for a man. He was at my parents' store earlier, and he took a little tab off your flyer, and um, we just he stole something from my parents, so we're trying to track him down.
Oh, what
Uh,
did it look like?
he had a bright green scarf.
Oh, yeah.
He's
He
been
came
here.
by very early this morning.
Uh, did you get any information from him by any chance?
She pauses. She goes, "No, I told him to leave. Didn't like the looks of him. Didn't like
So,
the sound of him. Something weird there with him. He just wanted kittens," he said, and I was, there are people around here that keep pythons, big pythons, and sometimes they'll come and get free kittens. So I had that feeling about him, like he didn't want a kitten, didn't want a cat.
So can I kind of like elbow John and kind of give him a look like, see, he was creepy.
All right. All right.
He wasn't happy about it, but I sent him on his way.
Do you happen to know where he went? Did he have a
No, he
car?
walked here and then he walked off.
Do you happen to know where he could get other kittens?
Well, I assume that people would check the penny saver sometimes, and when they put that in there in those adverts, or some people will go to the Humane Society. But I always have kittens, and they're all lovely and socialized. Now, the young lady, did you say you wanted a kitten?
Not today, thank you. Maybe one of my friends does.
Ma'am,
Mm-hmm.
I'd kind of like to at least take a look at him if I could.
Oh, that's and she will actually come out of the door, and she will walk you out and kind of goes around the house, and has you four of you follow. And it's a dry scrub lawn here that is covered with cat fecus. And she'll take you back to this big shed that she's got, where she clearly has set up to keep kittens. Like she does this probably happens quite a bit. And she will carefully open that and gesture in, and there's probably a half dozen kittens, boxes and things like that are playing around in this room that, if anything, is a more contained version of the smell from the other place. And she'll reach down and she'll hold one up and she says, "This is a cute one. How about that?"
I'm just going to sit down and see if any of them kind of wander over to me and climb on me, or if any of them kind of show any interest.
Absolutely, because you have a leather jacket. And there is nothing a cat likes better than to sink its claws into leather.
I whisper to Lila and Garrett, "We found John's weakness."
Kittens are everyone's weakness.
And this woman is going to try and do the hard sell on you, John. Like she's very much, "Oh, look, that one loves you. That it knows your name. That one loves you. You should take that one. You know, everyone should have a cat. But you want to get them fixed."
Yeah, that believe me. Yeah. I look at the kitten. Kind of cock my head at it. I think it mews at me and it's like, all right, you got me.
And so you're going to take a kitten home with you?
Yep.
And so
I put it in the pocket of my leather jacket for the short term.
And she lets you take the kitten. And it's probably getting dark now, like seriously dark, by the time the four of you are done at the House of Infinite Ammonia. So are you guys cool walking back home after dark?
I am.
Does Garrett have like a curfew or something? Like, would he be freaking out that we're out so late?
That's a good question.
I don't think it's like this early, but yeah, I think if we were out much longer, like if I didn't get home like right away, then yeah, my mom would probably be freaking out and calling in the cops to come out and look for me or something.
Yeah, and so the four of you can go walking along, heading back home, kind of picking up the pace to go. As you are walking along, You're walking along one of the good paths, and there is a concrete flood, like a half pipe.
I know it well.
Yeah, these
Skated
are
there a bunch.
it's not that great, not that deep. It's a little too tight for that, but it's, one of the things that happens in the desert or hard plain areas like this is when the rain does come, the ground isn't ready for it, and so you get washout and so on. So usually this is pretty dry through here, mud caked, but sometimes as well they also do sewer flushing, like flush the lines in through here. It's one of the ways they help keep the city safe, and you can tell that like they must have done a water flushing recently, because you've heard the sound of it and you kind of see the glint of it, the light from street lamps who cut it, and it's maybe 8-9 feet down to the bottom of this thing that you're walking along, and up ahead, so 4 of you are walking, you hear the sound, like the distinct sound of splashing, like someone splashing through that water, and it's 9:30. It's getting dark, and it's a little odd. What would you do, Justine?
I think I have my headphones on so I don't hear the splashing. I'm just walking forward.
Okay. So you're kind of towards the front. So Garrett, do you, when you hear that?
I think I'd probably jog up to get a closer look. Like I think at first I'd just look around everybody else, like, you guys hear that? And then sort of jog up to get a look.
So you jog a little bit ahead of the group, and you can see, just caught a little bit by one of the like halogen street lamps, just the edge of the light kind of catches down into here, and you will see this person splashing through just not even that much water. It's maybe this much on the bottom, maybe about this wide, of muddy, gunky water, and they're kind of splashing in it. And then you'll see them kind of drop to their knees, and they start scooping water up like that.
I think I'd yell out to him, like, "Hey, buddy, are you okay down there? Do you need help or something?"
Well, you guys and you and the group are slightly behind, but you'll hear Garrett like start yelling at whoever was making that splashing.
Garrett, what is happening?
There's some guy down here. I don't know if he's okay.
What's he doing?
Well, I mean, he's just drinking water, but that water is pretty gross.
Oh, maybe he's been stranded out here and he's like delirious from dehydration. Should we try and get him out? Like, is he okay? Like, does anyone have water?
Does anyone have a bottle of water on them?
I have a cat and a skateboard.
I might have, because it's best to have your own bottle of water when you go to work.
Absolutely. And you've yelled at this guy, Garrett, and he doesn't seem to have paid any attention to you.
I think I'll slowly start walking down toward him. Shouting a little bit every now and then to like see if I can get this guy's attention. Because I think I'm thinking, like, there's kids going missing. It could be a teenager or something, for all I know.
Yeah, as you're moving up, you actually it looks like it might be a teen. You see he's got a t-shirt on, just sort of wet, plastered, sweaty onto the back of him, and jeans, but you can't see his face because he's just pushing all this water up, into his mouth there. John, your kitten has started to do that thing where its ears go down. Kittens don't hiss, but they do cower.
Yeah, it's showing a fear response from this dude that far away.
Yeah.
That's not good. Yeah, Garrett, you might want to back up a little bit. Get some distance.
Yeah, I think I would stop, probably like 15 feet away from the guy. Like, I'm
Okay.
not down in the water with him.
Okay, so you've gotten down into the pipe, but you're kind of staying on the edge of the water and kind of walking, but you stop 10, 15 feet away from him. Lila, Justine, what about you two?
Yeah, I've not gotten down anywhere near.
Okay.
I'm just staying at the top, like surveying.
And Justine, you've got that
I
bottle
think-
of water.
Yeah, I've got that bottle. I think I'm joining Garrett.
Okay.
I'm getting close to him.
So you do that thing where you kind of scramble down the side of this, down to where he is, kind of catch your balance as you do. And you will see kind of when you come down a second person like that, the little more noise and splashing, and you'll see this figure kind of turn around on hands and knees, turns back, and looks at the two of you. And you will recognize, Justine, that this is Noah Martinez.
Shit.
And I see he's got mud and dirt, kind of wet, kind of pouring down his whole front, where he's been kind of just pushing it into his face.
Shit. Garrett, it's the missing kid.
What, do you know him?
I reach into like my knapsack and I pull out the flyer. Is it? And I kind of give it to Garrett. Yeah, or just like, yeah.
Oh yeah, that looks like him.
Yeah, that's him. He doesn't look okay.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna call it his name. Noah.
And at that, he stops drinking. And he looks up at where you're at. And you see him start to move weirdly to get to his feet.
Lila, can you hold my kitten, please?
Okay, what are you doing?
Just hold the kitten and stay back.
Okay, just be careful.
I move toward Garrett with holding my skateboard by the front trucks. So it's
Absolutely.
now
So you're
gone
kind of-
from being transportation to a weapon.
Kind of do that step slide down to get to where they're at, being a little bit careful so you don't take a tumble. As Noah is starting to close that distance between you and him, Justine.
Can I like try to study this situation?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm feeling scared. And
That seems like a fair assumption.
yeah. Oh, okay. So before we get to this failure,
Yes.
I rolled 5.
Uh-huh.
I have a move where when you study a situation looking for potential trouble, you may freely ask one of these 2 questions. Is that true even on a miss?
That is not true even on a miss because you have to have hold to do that.
Fair enough. Sorry, I was just
Yeah.
I was confused because it says in addition to your regular hold. So I didn't
So it has to have a success state to activate.
All right, cool. So
Can anyone else eyeball him?
We're going to resolve Justine's study move
Okay.
first before we do anything else. Justine, he stumbles forward towards you, and you're kind of looking, and sort of this is even as John, you're kind of coming down, and Garrett, you're kind of moving like, okay, what's going on here? Because you're kind of looking back up at John coming down, and Justine, you will see him do this, and see he puts his hands out as he's coming forward, and as he does, you will see from right here on his wrists, you will see this flower bloom, kind of punches out from the skin and blooms, and you'll start to see like the veins along his arm, you see them start to kind of come out as kind of reaching forward, and Now there is blood everywhere. Garrett, what do you do?
I think I'm trying to maybe step in front, but also just say, like, we need to go.
Let's have you face fear.
Okay.
You're gonna roll, and then whatever you roll with, you're gonna mark.
Okay, and then I have my identity move, so when I face fear, I don't mark the emotion.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah. So I guess I'm gonna roll a fear.
That seems fair.
Sense. And that's only a 6.
That is only a 6. So first of all, you need to mark fear. That's what part of the GM move there. And I think that he is kind of try to step up, and there's this whipping, as you see, like roots and tendrils, and like this bush of thorny roses and things like that are blooming out of his arms and coming up along and kind of starting to burst out of his neck, and he's pushed in between and knocks you down, separates you from Justine. And John, do you want to try and do something here?
Jesus Christ, it's the swamp thing.
So what is it you want to do? I'm going to have you face
Garrett's-
fear first.
Garrett's down, right?
Garrett has been pushed back, knocked back, probably scraped his elbow as he kind of fell against the concrete. Justine's gotten pushed back.
Okay. So I am closest to Noah.
And there is blood everywhere. Like blood is spraying. And all three of you are caught in that now.
I am starting to think I know why my mom got sent home.
So what is it you want to do?
Well, you said I have to face fear.
Yeah, I want to know what your intent is before we have you roll that.
My intent was to get Garrett and Justine to something resembling safety.
Okay, trying to pull them back. Okay, so let's have you face fear. What do you want to roll that with?
I'm thinking control.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to get control of the situation.
Sure. So roll with control and then mark it.
That's a 10.
That is a 10. So you can stand your ground or run away in a controlled manner. So you want to stand your ground and try and pull them back?
I want to get them to safety.
Okay. So I don't think we even need to have a roll that like you grab them to pull them back. You don't want to run up the sides because you can't quite scramble that, but you'll pull them back away from this figure. Does that seem fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lila, you're up top by yourself with a kitten. And you will hear behind you these footsteps. Kind of wet, squelching footsteps.
So I'm going to turn around and check that out.
You'll see that guy that was in the store this morning. And you see he is approaching you.
Is he still like shuffling like a zombie, or is he more walking quickly towards me?
He is a little more animated than he was this morning.
That tea kicked in.
Yeah, got all that caffeine and the ginseng.
Can my friends hear me over all the chaos that's going on down there?
Maybe.
Oh goodness, guys! The creepy guy from this morning's up here. You haven't even named the kitten yet. What do I do? What do we do?
So let's have you face fear. What would you like to roll as a motion to kind of keep your head in the game here?
Definitely fear.
Okay, so you're going to roll that, and then you're going to mark fear.
Okay, it's just a 5.
So he is up on you, even as you start to kind of shout. The others can't hear you, and he kind of pushes you aside, but you're backed up to the edge of this thing, and so you will fall, hit that concrete, and roll down to the bottom of this into that water. What hurts the most when you land?
I fall really hard on my elbow just because I'm protecting the kitten.
Okay.
So like I don't care as much about me. I'm just making sure the kitten's safe.
Yeah, you will roll down, hit that water. You're a little ways behind where John has pulled the other two back, and John, Justine, Garrett. You can see, this. You see Lila kind of fall down into kitten is safe. Though it doesn't look like Lila's in. I mean, you can see her wincing. I assume at that point. Is a kitten wet or dry, Lila?
The kitten is dry.
Okay. Justine, what do you want to do?
Is where Lila fell? Is it near the vicinity of Noah?
No. She's actually you and Garrett and John are between this slowly shambling and actually slowing down shambling rose and thorn vine figure and where Lila is.
Okay, cool. I think I'm kind of like I'm clutching the flyer really tightly, and I kind of like say to the two boys, we can't leave him behind. His family's looking for him.
Well, we can tell him that we saw him, and he ran off.
We are absolutely leaving him behind. We are getting the hell out of here, and we are all getting to safety.
I think I kind of like make a petulant noise, and I kind of shout at the figure, Noah, your sister's looking for you.
But if Garrett and John start to pull you back, do you go, Justine?
I think I'm just gonna keep shouting. I don't think
Okay.
I'm gonna, but I will just keep shouting. Your sister, her name's Mariella. She really misses you.
John, Garrett, do you want to get Lila up and get moving?
I turn to Garrett and say, Garrett, can you deal with Justine while I get Lila?
Yeah, Justine, we need to go.
Pick her up and drag her if you have to.
So, Justine, you're shouting back. John, you can help Lila to her feet, get her moving. Garrett pulling Justine back. So, Justine, you're the only person who really has eyes on the situation as the others are starting to kind of run. And you will see that cloaked figure, the wrapped figure, like with superb balance, kind of walk down the side of this concrete thing over to where you will see Noah's kind of slowly moving and stopping. And you will see it kind of go up to where that is at. No fear. There's blood and gore everywhere. And you will see it. Figure takes out a pair of scissors, and you'll see him snip and take one of those flowers.
I think that's when I just let Garrett take me away. Then that's when I stop shouting.
Absolutely. And that is where we are stopping for this evening, with you guys running away from that particularly horrible scene. Does that seem fair?
But we have a dry and safe kitten.
You have a dry and safe kitten. Lila has succeeded. So next time we will take up at this point with you getting home in various states of bedragglement and so on. And we'll do a debrief at the end of the second session. So it's kind of just a little bit of play here. Anybody? Like I said, we'll do any stars or wishes. Anybody thoughts after this? Puckett, anything you want to say here? We didn't get too much play, but what do you think?
Well, the only person I haven't played with before is Julie. And Julie, I really like the detail that you threw in about elbowing John to say see. Kind of, I told you so. That was a really, really nice touch. Leandro, Robert, I'm going to I kind of miss Fig, not going to lie. And Leandro, I think you're awesome. But that detail about kind of like, you see, I wasn't losing it. See, that got me. That was good. That was really
nice.
Good.
Robert, anything you want to point towards?
I really like the creepiness of it. It slowly built, and then it's like, oh yeah, geez, okay, this is real. This is getting dark quick. So yeah, I really like the setting that we're building here.
Awesome. Leandro?
Yeah, I really liked the vignettes we each got. It kind of ran the gamut from kind of sad and just that sort of like concerned sort of sadness to somewhat comedic, but also tinged sadness to bit more serious, and then the bit at the store with the creepy guy, which is just and I think I'm sorry, I'm a bit overplaced because that's always happens when I really enjoy the session. I'm sorry, that's my excuse.
Okay.
And I shan't tell you what time it is over here. Love the kitten. Love like the creepy stuff and how everyone reacted to it. It just says, there was only like a bit of play, but it still like told me a lot about what everyone's priorities are.
Yeah, I have to say I appreciate everybody being willing to lean into the little bits from their home life scenes. I mean, it's a bit stolen from Tales from the Loop. This idea of doing those home scenes on a regular basis, and I think all the four of you really did a nice job with that. Julie, I'm going to give you last word. Anything you want to point to that you particularly liked? Wanted other players play? Anything?
Oh yeah, I mean, this is kind of my first RPG ever, so it was really fun. Like, you guys are all really easy to work off of and everything. And like, I love Justine's character, where she's just like oblivious with her headphones on, and then like how Garrett's just like a mama's boy, just like, fine, I'll drink this stuff. And then of course like John got the kitten. Like, it's so much fun.
Yeah, good stuff. Everybody had nice details today. So thank you all very much. I will see everybody next week at this same time, and we will do the second half of this story. I'm going to stop the broadcast because the kittens are now attacking my cords at this point. So we've hit that point of the evening. So I'm going to stop the broadcast.